And we are officially live. Hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there. And welcome to another rendition of NXTilosos, the sexiest NXT review show, post show out there. And yeah, we're here for another episode to review this past Tuesday's episode of NXT, specifically week 1 of NXT Revenge, which is like the specialty TV shows that are happening this week and next week. My name is Mikey. I am El Jefe of BC WrestlePod, and joined with me this evening is the Kilt Man. The Pleat Father is in the house.
As always, I am here to support my bestie and my jefe. I'm going to touch on one quick thing before we get too deep into this. Revenge is kind of like what Backlash tried to be. So far, Revenge is better than Backlash, and I'll fight every single person right now.
Well, Backlash hasn't happened yet, but
Yeah, it did last year.
oh, Backlash last year. Backlash is only for main roster.
Wait, what the fuck am I thinking of then?
I don't know. What kind of drugs are what kind of acid did you drop? Cause you straight tripping.
First off, I don't do drugs. I drink heavily. Second, well, not heavily, but anyway. Secondly,
Damn,
what was the 2 weeks of NXT?
You mean
Gold
back
Rush?
in
Gold
there
Rush.
you go. I was like, you mean Gold Rush back in November?
Yeah, that was stupid.
There was a lot of choices that happened that were very
Yeah, that was stupid.
Well, not necessarily the greatest, but
Yeah.
I think they did better with. Well, we're done with week 1. I dare say this was really good stuff. I really enjoyed it, and we'll see if we feel the same after next week's. Well, actually, for week 2 of Revenge, we won't be doing an NXT show because we'll be doing all the WrestleMania Hell Week post shows next week.
Yeah, it'll be
Kilt only. Yeah. So we'll give you all that information at the end of the show. But if you are new here to BC WrestlePod, we pretty much go live almost every single day. So you can catch us for a bunch of stuff. NXT, AEW, CMLL, TNA. We also cover the international brands, Stardom, Progress, New Japan, Mystery Wrestling. We are now covering Eve, Battle Girls of Riot Wrestling. Lots of stuff. So you can pretty much find something that you enjoy. We also have social medias at BC WrestlePod, where we have our report cards and the previews, so you can read how we thought each episode went and tell us why you agree or disagree. We also have some merchandise available to you at our shop, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. Link in the chat as I posted those a few minutes ago, so you should be able to see them, and I will be posting them towards the halfway point and the end of the show once again. And last, but certainly not least, we do a lot. We cover a lot. We pay for a lot of streaming services and editing help and stuff like that. So if you would like to help donate to the cause so we could continue to bring you this content, our little coffee bot will be popping into the chat every 10, 15 minutes or so. But we understand that times are tough. So please do so responsibly because we love you for being here. And that's all that really matters to us. And if you decide to donate, then it is a bonus to us. But we love you and make sure you take care of yourself and those around you. Alrighty, let's get into NXT Revenge week 1 because we had a lot of fun stuff. I say, I think from beginning to end, very smooth viewing experience. Didn't feel like we were just holding up space, holding up air, so to speak. Like, I feel like we utilized everything properly, and I felt like everything got the appropriate amount of time for what we got. So I was very entertained, and I was like, this was an easy, digestible watch for me. I didn't really have a big much issue where I'm like rolling my eyes, but like, why am I here? Why are we watching this? So yeah.
I have to definitely agree. It's always been a situation where sometimes they'll just yap and it'll be like, okay, can we move along? Ooh, I forgot something.
Agreed.
I just
So,
realized I forgot one thing. Here we go. Okay, I'm good.
all right.
As I was.
All right, let's get into this. So, we kicked off week 1 of NXT Revenge with Miss Jada Parker taking on
Miss
Kalani
Parker.
Jordan.
Fucking cheap shot with the turnbuckle. I got feelings about this.
I know you have feelings about this, as I figured you would.
I'm just
But the reason that we are here is because since the Madison Square Garden show leading into Stand and Deliver, Kalani and Jada have been kind of at each other's throats a little bit. And even then, in the like leading into this match for the hype package, like Jada, Kalani Jordan talking all that mess on Instagram Live, and then Jada Parker literally following her out to the parking lot to go fight her was hilariously and well done. And so these two have kind of a bitter back and forth going on. And so that is why we have this match personally made. Now, as far as this match goes, I thought this was really fun. This is not the first time that we've seen Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan mix it up and fight each other. So I was very personally entertained. I thought this was a really fun opening bout for both women. Both women are continuing to be featured on our television screen. And I feel that we are not quite done with this feud. I think we are going to see this go for a little bit longer. Um, this was fun. Of course, Kalani Jordan would capitalize, and she does end up picking up the victory in this match over Miss Jada Parker. I thought this was a solid opener, and it was truly really fun to watch to kick off week 1 of NXT's Revenge. Plead to Father, how do you plead with the Jada Parker Kalani Jordan match?
bitch. One of my always favorite things when I'm in the NXT crowd is when Miss Parker comes out, because Miss Parker don't play. First and foremost. Secondly, it's always the chance that we get, because you'll have the call and response, which one of my favorite call and responses is always, "Hey, Miss Parker, konnichiwa." We go through so many languages. It's like learning. It's great. It's literally one of my highlights of being in you could say in the studio, in person, in arena. If you want to, like, I'm going to use quotation marks because technically it's not an arena. It's a lot of scaffolding. That every single time I walk up this and down those damn stairs, I trip without fail. At least once when I'm at the PC, I will fall down the up or down the stairs. I'll just misjudge a step and go, "Oh, shit, not again." And then we'll have a laugh and then they'll move on. Anyway, so Miss Parker is literally the crowd favorite. Like, you literally went to say something, then pause your mic real quick, and that's why I paused. I was like, "What?"
I caught myself in a yawn, so I was just like, I muted myself so you didn't hear me yawn. My apologies.
That works. I was like, "We're good." All right, cool. She is the PC favorite. Like, it's very rare that we boo against Miss Parker, and I don't like seeing her lose. I hope her hip is good. If she, I know that she can get it on, from what I understand. But yeah, so it was a good match. I'll say that. I'm not happy with the with the results of the match, but I'm very happy to see Miss Parker on my screen in person whenever I get the chance. So give me more Miss Parker.
100%. And like I said, I don't think we are quite done with these two. I think we're going to get a few more matches out of these two, and I'd be okay with it. So looking forward to where we're going next with both of them. So this was the opening match. Afterwards, we cut backstage where guys Ricky and Ethan are hugging it out. So meanwhile, while Shiloh is working on stuff and he's witnessing this in the background. So essentially, what this little backstage segment is that Ethan Page has a match against Tony D'Angelo for the NXT Championship later on in the night. And Ethan and Ricky Saints, for all intents and purposes, bury the hatchet. Ethan Page gives an invitation to Ricky to help him during the match later on in the show. Ricky says he'll be there, and Shiloh Hill is just watching this all unfold. And Shiloh's like, something is gonna be up. He overhears this, and Shiloh at this moment begins to formulate a plan, which we'll talk about when we get to the match. But yeah, Ricky and Ethan make up for like the 18,000th time. And more on these two when we get to the main event. But right after this, though, we get a pre-taped where Sol Ruka tells her side of the story, and she explains how she loves Zarya, and she still does, but Zarya has somehow made everything that has happened to them and her lack of opportunity as Sol's fault, and she doesn't want to do that, but she will always appreciate and love the time that her and Zarya spent together. But it is every woman for themselves now, and she is out to prove that Soul can beat Zarya like she did at Stand and Deliver. And I'm just like, you go, Soul. This last woman standing match is going to be nuts. I cannot wait until that match happens next week. So we will hear Zarya's side of the story a little bit later in the show. But right now, guys and gals and non-binary pals, we got a Joe Hendry concert. So Joe Hendry has his concert, and he sings the song about uh basically where is he going next? What are we doing? What is going to happen? Where does he go next? And before he can get too far into the concert, he is interrupted by Keanu Carver, who then proceeds to beat the piss out of Joe Hendry. And in fact, he bloodies this man. He destroys security, and Keanu Carver is left standing strong by the end of this, even though Joe Hendry El Kabonged him.
I was about to say that. I was waiting for that. My question in this is mostly just story basis. Why? Like, I understand Keanu wants something, but it doesn't make like I don't see a outside of I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want because I can mentality, and I don't, which I obviously I don't like. I think you can have an intelligence behind your ruthless, and not just be a giant douche, and just do whatever the fuck you want. But again, I'm not creative. I don't get to make decisions. I just get to bitch about it on the internet while I watch it and enjoy it. And then bitch about it some more. Which I probably will be doing a lot this weekend, considering what we're about to look at.
Oh, it's gonna be a great time. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not. Hey, still gonna bitch. I may enjoy it, but I will still bitch because I have
That
to.
is very fair.
Because if I don't,
hi, new friend. We're doing great. So it's gonna be fine. You're gonna survive. We always do. Hey, but think about it this way: this will be the last. We get to take a break from WrestleMania next year, given where it's going to be happening. So we got other things we could do.
It may. They're still trying to figure out.
That is very true. But this is WWE that we're talking about. So I'm like, where there's a will, there's a payoff. Anywho.
Where there's a payoff, there will be a WrestleMania.
So, but yeah. So we're going to talk more about Keanu Carver a little bit later in the show, but we had a Joe Hendry concert that got interrupted, and Joe ends up bloodied by the end of this segment for his concert. So after our Joe Hendry concert, we get a quick pre-taped from Tony D'Angelo talking about how he has had to change himself, and he has had to realign himself and basically do things a lot different, and he stands as our NXT champion, and tonight is going to be no different. He understands that Ethan Page is a former champion in his own right, but Ethan's got nothing on Tony, and Tony's not going to allow Ethan to take this title from him. And I'm just like, you go, Tony D'Angelo. I was like, you go, you do your thing, you defend this title, which is exactly what he does later. Let me tell you, this little interaction made my little heart squee. So Lola is getting ready as she will be main eventing the show in this episode as she defend it will be her first title defense as NXT Women's Champion since winning the title at Stand and Deliver. And she will be facing off against former champion JC Jane in the main event of week 1 of NXT Revenge. As she is getting ready, she is then approached by WWE Women's Champion Miss Stephanie Vaquer. And there was this was a cute banter. They hugged. Stephanie tells, Lola good luck. Well, first she tells her she's proud of her, and then she wishes her luck in her match against JC Jane. Lola then reciprocates by receiving the compliment and also telling Stephanie good luck, and that Lola tells her to go beat Liv at WrestleMania. So this was a sweet moment. This was really fun.
I like this moment. It made me giggle. It made me happy. And then there was a moment later, and I'm like, "Wait, why isn't she?" Never mind. I'm not gonna ask the stupid questions, because again, everything I hear is conjecture. It's rumor. I don't know everything, so we'll see. But anyway, yeah, this was great. I loved it. It was so much fun. I'm kind of upset that La Primera was in my area and I didn't know, and I was like, oh my god. I've been like, oh my god. I wouldn't have asked for his autograph, but I definitely would have been like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Man, it is fantastic for sure. But yeah, so this was a nice moment of the two champions, the two Latina champions, kind of wishing each other luck. Both of them are going to. Lola has something big tonight for this episode, and Stephanie has a big thing for heading into this weekend for Mania. So very excited and hoping La Primera walks out the other end as champion still. But predictions will come later. Not this episode, but I'll be sending that form out before Saturday, so that should be fun. But after this, we get into our next match, which is the NXT debut of WWE Evolve talent, Miss Callie Armstrong. I was like, as the only person in this group of NXT hosts, as well as the only person in this BC WrestlePod group of 15 of us, I watch WWE Evolve. Why? It's like I don't already watch enough wrestling every single week. But Callie Armstrong is the first ever WWE Women's Evolve champion, going on a very dominant reign until losing the title to Miss Kendall Gray. But Callie Armstrong is great. And now she has made her official call up to NXT, and she is here to stay. And she basically had a showcase, what I call a showcase squash match against another signed talent for NXT and Evolve called Skylar Ray. Callie Armstrong is just bam. I'm like, damn. She's fast. She's powerful. She's going to hit you hard. I thought this was a really fun showcase for Callie. She wins this match. I think this was a really fun introduction for people who do not watch Evolve, and I'm excited to see where we take Callie because I think it's going to be some good stuff.
I have to agree. This was a really good introduction to Callie, and a lot of good opportunity, good times here. It's funny is because you say, you're the only one that watches Evolve out of all of us, and that is true. But in my defense, if I tried, I could watch it in person. If I tried, there's a way to do it. It's. I'm gonna break a little bit of immersion. So at the PC, which is just a giant fucking L shape of warehouses, the studio the area that we see NXT filmed it is the main area. It's where it's the top part. It's if you ever see any of Shawn Michaels, actually his most recent TikTok where he's outside the PC, you go to the left of whatever he's shooting out front is where we do the matches. We go straight in there. Now, there's a warehouse right next to it. And then at the far end, there's another warehouse that they shoot Evolve in. Um, why they keep it separated, I'm not 100% sure. But hey, if I can get in, I'm going to get in. But anyway, it also requires me to actually drive to that side of. Fucking, that's the one thing I hate about my city. It's a. I lived. Okay, let me preface something. I lived in Atlanta for 5 years. Well, north of Atlanta, and I hated it. Someone once asked me, what's it like driving around Atlanta? I'm like, Atlanta is an hour away from Atlanta. And they didn't believe me until they got in my car and I was driving back to my house and like, wow, it's been an hour. We haven't gotten to your place yet. No, we're just now leaving Atlanta. We're about to hit Marietta. So they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, we're just about to hit Marietta. Oh, there's Marietta. There's Kennesaw. We're going to go off this way. Because I lived out in the boonies. But yeah, it was interesting to say the least. It's something. This match was actually really cool. I don't really know the other person as well. I think I've seen a few bits of Callie Armstrong prior to this. I didn't see her opponent much, if at all. And I think the only reason I know the bits that I've seen is stuff that's is the dark matches or the pre-recorded matches for Evolve or for LFG or something that I see in person at NXT. So this was really cool. This was a really good match, really physical. She shows her prowess really well, and I honestly I see good things. Probably Callie will more than likely go up the roster and probably go to main side within, I would say, 3 to 5 years. Based on just this alone, looking at all this, don't hold me to that because I'm terrible at it. Because freaking Ethan Page should have been on main roster last year when him and Chelsea Green were teaming together. And can you just move him? I'll save that. I'll save Ethan Page till later. But yeah, this was good.
Yeah, so again, really fun showcase from Miss Callie. And we're going to see her at the very end of the show again. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But after this, though, we're backstage and we have Blake Monroe and the Vanity Project boys in the office of Robert Stone. And Robert Stone is just like, Blake, we've already talked about this multiple times since Stand and Deliver. You are not the women's NXT. You are not the NXT Women's North American Champion. So I don't understand why the Vanity Project boys are, playing into her delusion and hyping her up for no apparent reason. And so because Blake won't let it go, Robert Stone tells Blake that Tatum wants to be done and over with this, and she's willing to give Blake another shot at the Women's North American Championship. But the trade off is that Tatum will give Blake another shot, but Tatum gets to pick the stipulation for the match. So Blake is at first a little trepidatious about it. The Vanity Project boys then, reassure her that she's going to win no matter what. And then Blake is fine, and then everybody leaves. At this point of the show, we don't know what that stipulation is going to be. So we would find out later in the show what this NXT Women's North American Championship match was going to be when we see Tatum, and we're going to talk about that when we see her again. But right now, Kill, we got an NXT Championship match that happened. Tony D'Angelo, in his first title defense since winning the title at Stand and Deliver, takes on the former champion, All Ego Ethan Page, or a former champion, I should say. And it already started out with shenanigans because we weren't even like 2 minutes into the match before Ricky Saints made his appearance. He was out ringside. And not even 10 seconds of him being out there. All of a sudden, Ricky falls to the floor. I'm like, what happened?
I wish you had gotten little screen grabs of that because you just see him go, as hands go, as hands come out from under the ring and goes, grab, then yank, and then 2 minutes later he comes out. Freaking
Shiloh Hill has hogtied this man.
no,
It's
no, he did not hog tie him. And I will fight everybody on this because that is not hog tying. If Ricky Saints was hogtied, his hands and his feet would have been bound together. What he did was just literally just rope up his legs, and that's it.
mm,
Because so
mm,
it would be like that.
fair enough. Well, Shiloh Hill ties a rope around his feet and drags Ricky out of the arena. So then it just becomes another one-on-one between Tony and Ethan. This is a lot. Honestly, this match was a lot of fun. I figured it was going to be. At one point, Tony D'Angelo ends up getting Ethan on the table, tries to slam Ethan through table. Table does not break. And I was like, oh, ow. That's crazy.
I think they didn't plan for it to fully come out, or
Right.
it just didn't drop. I guess I don't know, but yeah, sometimes that happens. But it wasn't like a hard spear anyways. So like it really looked a little off. So I'm glad it didn't go through because I felt like Tony would have injured himself if it
Mm-hmm.
had.
So glad that everyone is okay with this one. Uh, to no one's surprise, Tony D'Angelo retains. Dead to rights, hits the dead to rights to Ethan. So Tony is still your NXT champion. I don't know if they're gonna do anything more with Ethan and Ricky, but I'm like, let's after Mania, I would like to start to see Ethan transition up to main roster. But again, I don't work for this company and I don't make those kinds of decisions. So
I am the same, but I still want to bitch about it. In all honesty, Ethan should be moved up to main roster, and him and Chelsea Green need to go back for the U.S. titles and just resume that whole the whole secret harvest and Secretary of Slay gimmick they had, because that was gold. Like that printed money.
yeah, it would be. But anyways, we'll see if Ethan sticks around or if he's going to be prepped to head over to the main roster. But we'll see how the next couple of weeks pan out. After our NXT Championship match, we go backstage where Ricky is upset that Shiloh tied him up and took him out of the arena. And Ricky finds Shiloh and tells him to not stick his nose in his business, which means that we're probably going to get a feud between Ricky and Shiloh, which I'm here for. Shiloh doesn't necessarily hear. He has a buzzsaw in his hands, asks Ricky to help him, which scares Ricky and the backstage official. And so then Shiloh goes back to working on his project. So I'm like, love you, Shiloh. We're going to see you in a little bit to talk about what you were working on with Tatum this whole entire episode. Promo time. So Miles Bourne gets into the ring. He talks about, his match against Johnny Gargano at Stand and Deliver. And then he talks about how he was thinking about celebrating with his favorite dessert, which I was just like, oh, you sly dog. And I'm very jealous of you. I was
Yeah.
just like, you and Stephanie are a cute couple.
When he walked in, because when they did his walk-in video, like to come in, it was after they did the Lola Vice Stephanie Becker bit, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you could have had them together. You could have monopolized on that potential couple, and I don't know. I think that might, again, that whole thing is rumor and conjecture, and I'm not 100% sure if that actually is or not, or what have you, or if there's still, I don't know. No one tells me. So yeah, I'm jealous of that too, because damn.
for real. Anyways, though, so after that, though, because he was attacked by Dion Lennox at Stand and Deliver, he's going to be a fighting champion. And so before he gets any further, Dark State interrupts. Dion starts cutting a promo. Miles Bourne fires back at said promo, telling Dion that you got all of Dark State out here. I was just like, if you want this match, I'd be happy to give it to you. But if you and the Dark State boys come down to this ring and beat me up, you are not getting this match. So then Miles then drops this because Miles is playing mind games with Dark State. He tells Dion, it's like, Dion, as the leader of Dark State, you have to make a decision. Which then prompted one of my other personal favorites, Mr. Saquon Sugars, to respond, be like, nah, bro. We ain't doing that. They ain't no leader. I was just like, you got it all twisted up, bro. And it's just like, forget this. He's like, forget what you saying, Miles. We about to get in here. We about to square up. And then Dion's like, hold on. I was just like, which then Saquon was not happy with. Dion is like, what you doing, man? And Dion's like, listen, I'm trying to think about Darkseid's future, and that future is that title. And Saquon was like, oh, are you thinking about our future or you future? Bet. And then Saquon drops the mic, starts heading into the ring. Dion runs after Saquon. Miles drops Saquon and the other members of Dark State. So the James Cutler and Mr. Osiris over there grab Saquon. Dion Lennox is like arguing with everybody. And Miles is just standing there with holding the title up as he was watching Dark State fight amongst themselves. And I was just like, the cracks are showing, especially between Dion and Saquon.
It is going to be very interesting, this breakup, because this is the breakup I was looking for and looking forward to. Not necessarily, the one that we got with, our lovely ladies of Sol Ruka and Zarya. But beggars can't be choosers. I still will bitch when I can, but hey, welcome to the breakup episode of Dark Lane, Lame State, whatever the heck you want to call them. And I'm excited for it. I can't wait for them to be done. And I wonder what will happen afterwards.
Right. So it's going to be very interesting for sure to see what happens. But we will continue to follow this development as the weeks go on. After this promo, we get Zarya's side of the story. And Zarya says that she was supportive of Sol from the very beginning, but then Sol only thought about herself. And at every single turn, Sol was either selfish or blamed Zarya for everything that happened. And so, come next Tuesday in the last woman standing match, Zarya is going to prove that she is going to beat Sol Ruka. And I'm just like, I'm still excited from this match. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I don't have much to say.
I want more. Gimme.
This is a fun for sure. Anyways, so after this though, we get our other first we get our other WWE Speed Tournament match leading into the finals. So I guess the semifinals, if you will. And this has EK Prosper taking on the NXT debut of Mr. Dorian Van Ducks, whatever you want to call it, formerly known as Mike Dukes. Okay. So Mr. Dorian Van Dukes, formerly known as Mike DeVecchio, also known as Mike D. Mike D.
Mike D's nuts. I mean, what? Sorry.
Well, listen, I was just like, you know me, and I was like, hey, Mike. No, but for anybody who is not familiar with Dorian Van Dukes or Mike DeVecchio is one of my favorite wrestlers from the European scenes. He comes from, Belgium. He is a very big man, but he is a high flyer as well, and he's got the speed as well. He is so much fun to watch, and I'm excited he's here in WWE, so WWE. Him and EK have a really fun speed match that showcases Dorian, but EK is able to get the win, and he is moving on to the final. So it is EK Prosper versus Lexis King next week to see who becomes the new WWE Men's Speed Champion. God, I hope it's EK.
Oh, I do too, but I also really want him to just look. Can he go by Eli Proper or Eli Prosper? Can we go back to Eli? Like this EK is such a bad name for the dude. It Ike. It reminds me of the freaking anime Air Gear, where the main character's name was Iki, and the freaking main, like, the love protagonist of it was always Iki, like every 5 seconds, and it's like, it irritates me. He's a great performer. He needs a better name. Just give him Eli. Give him Eli Prosper. That's fine. It's like I want him to be. Yes, I want him to be unique, and I want to be great, have a great name. But EK Prosper it's this pretty much the same way Liv Morgan got Liv Morgan. She was almost Oprah at one point.
We love that. It's insane. But anywho, yeah. So we're going to keep this going, though, because we get this final next week. We're going to see how that turns out, how this all happens. So it's going to be very interesting for sure. So after this, we're backstage. Robert Stone is chastising Keanu Carver, telling him why he beat up Joe Hendry during the concert. Keanu Carver does not care. Robert Stone says, all right, well, I'm going to give you this match, but don't say I didn't warn you. So we are getting Keanu Carver and Joe Hendry next week at week 2 of NXT Revenge. We can go on to the next segment because there's nothing more to add to this. We learn what Tatum's stipulation is. Robert Stone ends up searching, gets on a step, goes up one of those ladders to find her hanging out in the rafters, so to speak. And Robert's like, can we have this conversation on the ground? And Tatum completely ignores him, which was hilarious. And
no, Tatum's she flat out told him no.
No, that's true.
No, we're moving on. I'm like, yes, Tatum. Also, dude, are you actually scared of heights? Like,
that would be hilarious.
If you are, you've been up on the top of not only the crow's nest, but also I think you've been on top of freaking the in the stands. Stands ain't like, they're up a ways. It's like a story up. It's almost the same height as where Tatum is sitting now. My dude, you have to go places that are high.
I was like, sir, you are gonna be okay. I need you to calm down.
But
Tatum talks to Robert Stone because Robert Stone asks, have you decided what you want for your match? And before she says anything, we can pan back down to the ground where Shiloh comes in with this big old casket, and Tatum lets Robert Stone know, as well as the rest of us, that next week the Women's North American Championship match between Tatum and Blake will be a casket match. And I'm like, oh, good Lord, here we go.
I'm so excited. It has been 4 years, almost 4 years since the last casket match in WWE. The last one was Apollo Crews versus
and Grayson Waller.
It was at Halloween Havoc, October 15th, 25th, one of the two, in 2022. I'm so excited. he probably made a bigger casket only because they probably lost some of the original caskets that they had. So they needed they needed something bigger because they couldn't remember the original dimensions. And well, it's cool. It's going to be so cool. I'm so excited.
This is definitely going to be a really fun match. Can't wait for it. But speaking of next week, we kind of get a rundown of what we are getting next week, which is also looking really, really fun. So, of course, as mentioned, we are getting Tatum and Blake for the Women's North American Championship in a casket match. We are getting Souls and Zarya in a last woman standing match. We are getting Miles Bourne versus Dion Lennox for the Men's North American Championship. Joe Hendry versus Keanu Carver. And we're also getting the finals of our Speed Championship, where it's EK Prosper versus Lexus King. Alrighty, so we're getting down to the wire. We are heading into the main event. So once again, if you want to explore our socials or our shop, links in the description of the chat that I just posted right now. Let's get into our main event. As mentioned earlier in the show, our main event for week 1 of NXT's Revenge is the NXT Women's World Championship, and it is Lola Vice in her first title defense against JC Jane. This match I thought was a lot of fun, and it definitely was a lot more back and forth than I thought it was going to be. There was a couple of times where I thought, JC could pick it back up again, some false finishes. Of course, you had Laney and Fallon get involved as outside interferences, and they would end up almost helping JC get this title back. But ultimately, it would be Lola Vice hitting a spinning backhand and falling onto JC to retain the championship. So your winner and still NXT Women's Champion, Miss Lola Vice. Um, the match, I thought it was really good, but it was really fun. This was a really fun main event. But also the one thing that I did get from this as well is that I think this is it. I think JC is going to be moving up post WrestleMania. I think this is it. I think this was her swan song, so to speak. I think she's getting moved up.
I have to agree fully because she definitely is going to be she's ready. She's an amazing talent. She wrestles very, very well. I think she'll have a good rivalry with who's currently up on the main roster. You could probably throw her against Alexa Bliss. You could probably throw her against um, back against Jordan Grace, who I have not seen on my TV for a while, and that kind of concerns me.
She's been out on injury for a little bit, but it's been reported that she's been ready. She's been cleared and she's ready to come back.
Okay, cool. There's so many amazing, talented women on the main roster that you could throw JC at, and she'll just have a great match with, I think. And she definitely deserves to be moved up. So I think after we'll see that announcement at post WrestleMania.
I 100% agree with you. So after the match, though, Lola is celebrating in the ring, and she is confronted by. Well, first we cut through. JC gets out of the way as Callie Armstrong destroys Laney and Fallon, and so Lola is confronted by Callie Armstrong, Kendall Gray, and up in the crow's nest is Izzy Dame. Then we get Zarya's entrance playing. So this is telling us that Lola is going to have a lot of challengers coming her way over the next few months. And love that they're all new people and it's going to be fun. But the show goes off the air with Lola confronting each of these challengers, as well as Zarya and Soul fighting. And that has been NXT Revenge Week 1. Yay, we did it. Again, I thought this was a really fun show to watch. This was an easy watch from beginning to end, and I'm looking forward to looking forward to watching NXT Revenge Week 2 to see what happens in all of that.
Me too.
It is going to be exciting. But that is going to be it for us here tonight. Before I go, though, I do want to give everyone some announcements. We are, everyone knows, WrestleMania is this weekend, and starting this Friday is when we officially begin WrestleMania Hell Week. So outside of our regular reviews leading into Friday, which is CMLL later tonight, and Mystery Wrestling 24 tomorrow. Everything kicks off Friday for Hell Week, as at 3 p.m., myself and Andrew will be here live to do a watch along for GCW's Bloodsport, which is then going to lead into later that evening for our TNA Rebellion post show, which is just going to be a lot of fun to do. Then on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific, you will have myself and a couple other folks doing a live watch along for Effie's Big Gay Brunch, which is I'm super excited about. So every wrestler is either an ally or part of the LGBTQIA2 plus community, which is going to be a lot of fun. Which then is going to lead into myself, Kilt, and maybe some friends of ours from other places. And
Yay, friends!
We'll be here doing a live watch along a Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern of night one of WrestleMania, which then leads into Sunday with our watch along, not only for Joey Janela's Spring Break 10, but also night 2 of WrestleMania watch along. And then all next week, we have a special review schedule happening with WrestleMania and Stardom American Dream post shows on Monday, MDK Fight Club on Tuesday, the Gringo Locos, the World on Lucha, and CMLL on Wednesday, and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling's Multiverse on Thursday. And so it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So make sure you check out our social medias for all those announcements and times and everything. But I hope you join us over the next couple of days, because it's a lot of work on our end, but it's a lot of fun to get to interact with everyone there. But that's going to be it for me and Kilt. So we got to get up on out of here. So thank you so much for tuning in. And, from all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. I'll see you later for CMLL in about an hour or so. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.